Understanding separation anxiety in infants 8 to 14 months, a developmental milestone. For many parents, the period between 8 and 14 months marks a challenging transition. The previously easygoing baby, who might have happily gone into the arms of a stranger or played independently on a mat, suddenly transforms into a Velcro baby. They may wail when a parent steps out of the room, refuse to be comforted by familiar relatives, and cling desperately to their primary caregiver's legs. This phenomenon is commonly known as separation anxiety, often referred to informally as the clingy phase. While it can be exhausting and emotionally taxing for parents, it is crucial to understand that this is not a sign of bad parenting or a spoiled child. Rather, it is a healthy, expected, and vital psychological developmental milestone. The cognitive leap. Why does it happen now? To understand why separation anxiety peaks between 8 and 14 months, we must look at the rapid cognitive development occurring in a child's brain during this window. 1. The dawn of object permanence. Before the age of roughly 6 to 8 months, babies operate heavily on the principle of out of sight, out of mind. If you hide a toy under a blanket, the infant acts as though the toy has ceased to exist. However, around 8 months, children develop what developmental psychologist Jean Piaget called object permanence. They finally understand that objects and people continue to exist even when they cannot be seen or heard. Therefore, when a mother walks out of the room, the baby now knows she is still out there somewhere. 2. The absence of the concept of time. While the baby now knows the parent exists behind the closed door, they lack the cognitive ability to understand time. They do not comprehend concepts like, "I will be back in 5 minutes," or "I am just going to the bathroom." To an 8-month-old, a parent walking out the front door for a 10-hour workday and a parent stepping into the kitchen to grab a bottle feel like the exact same level of abandonment. The uncertainty of return is terrifying to them. 3. Evolutionary survival mechanism. From an evolutionary perspective, this timeline makes perfect sense. Between 8 and 14 months, most babies become highly mobile. They learn to crawl, pull to a stand, and eventually walk. This mobility allows them to wander away from safety. Separation anxiety acts as an evolutionary invisible tether. It keeps the newly mobile, highly vulnerable infant physically close to their protector, preventing them from wandering into danger. Common manifestations and symptoms. Separation anxiety does not only happen at daycare drop-offs, it permeates daily life. Common signs during this 8 to 14-month window include the shadow effect, crying or panicking when a parent simply walks into another room or turns their back. Stranger anxiety, a sudden intense fear of new people or even people they previously liked, such as grandparents or family friends. Sleep regressions, refusing to fall asleep without a parent present or waking up frequently in the night crying for a caregiver. The dark, quiet room amplifies their feeling of separation. Physical clinging, tightly gripping a parent's clothes, burying their face in their neck, and physically resisting being put down. The emotional toll on parents. It is important to acknowledge the impact this phase has on the caregiver. Parents often experience a heavy emotional burden. First, there is the guilt. Leaving a sobbing child at daycare or with a nanny can feel deeply unnatural and distressing. Second, there is exhaustion. Being a child's sole source of comfort, often referred to as being touched out, can leave parents feeling physically and mentally drained, with zero time for personal boundaries or basic needs. Effective strategies to manage separation anxiety. While you cannot and should not try to prevent separation anxiety, you can help your child navigate it by building their confidence and trust. 1. Practice short separations. Help your baby understand that leaving is always followed by returning. Play games like peekaboo, which is essentially a safe, miniature practice of object permanence. Practice leaving the room for just 30 seconds while continuing to talk to them from the other room. "I'm right here in the kitchen." Airing. 2. Establish a goodbye ritual. Routine breeds security. Create a short, consistent goodbye routine. A specific kiss, a high five, or a phrase like, "Mommy is going to work, and Mommy will be back after your nap." Keep the energy calm, cheerful, and confident. 3. Never sneak out. The most common mistake parents make is sneaking out while the child is distracted by a toy or another caregiver. While this spares the parent from witnessing the crying, it severely damages the child's trust. The baby suddenly realizes their parent has vanished without warning, which only makes them cling tighter the next time to prevent another disappearance. Always say goodbye, even if it triggers tears. 4. Introduce transitional objects. Around this age, babies can form attachments to objects like a small blanket or a specific stuffed animal. These loveys carry the scent of home and provide a physical source of comfort when the parent is not there. 5. Manage your own anxiety. Babies are incredibly emotionally perceptive. They act as mirrors to their parents' nervous systems. If you linger at the door, look visibly anxious, or cry when handing them over to a caregiver, your baby will interpret this as, "My parent is scared, which means this place is dangerous and I should be scared too." Projecting calm confidence reassures them that they are safe. 6. Don't prolong the departure. When it is time to leave, make the goodbye loving but brief. Lingering and repeatedly coming back to comfort a crying child only reinforces the idea that crying prevents the parent from leaving, prolonging the distress for everyone. When will it end? For most children, this intense peak of separation anxiety begins to gradually subside around 18 to 24 months. By this age, their language skills improve, allowing them to communicate better. Furthermore, their memory and understanding of time develop enough for them to realize that when a parent leaves, they always return. While it is a demanding phase, separation anxiety is ultimately a beautiful indicator. It is proof that a child has formed a secure, loving, and deeply rooted attachment to their caregiver. They cry because you are their safe haven in a vast, overwhelming world.